Good day, everyone. I am Shinami Ardizan, and today I'll be presenting my report titled Navigating Tradition and Innovation The Globalization of Asian Theater. So, this presentation explores how Asian theater forms adapt to the global stage, balancing their rich tradition with modern innovations. The global spread of Asian theater refers to how traditional and contemporary theater forms from Asia have transcended their cultural origins to be performed and appreciated worldwide. So, this includes staging in international venues, blending styles, and fostering collaborative projects. This may lead us to the key questions. Why do some Asian theater forms thrive globally while others don't? What factors influence this success? And is there a global demand for a certain narrative or aesthetics? My argument in this is that not all forms are meant for globalizations, especially those deeply rooted in cultural rituals that could lose their meaning outside their context. Overall, this process is significant for fostering cultural exchange and connecting global audiences to Asia's rich theatrical traditions. So let's tackle first the key elements of globalization. So the globalization of Asian theater has been facilitated by four main factors: technological advancements, international festival, cross-cultural collaboration, and diasporic communities. So technological advancements. Digital media and the internet enables performances to reach audiences worldwide. Streaming platforms and online archives provide access to traditional performances, fostering a global appreciation for these art forms. So the digital age has allowed audiences worldwide to access performance they might never experience in person. Platforms like streaming services and online archives bring variety to audiences, showcasing everything from small local plays to grand Asian performances. This accessibility fosters global appreciation for the diversity of Asian theatrical traditions. So next is international festivals. So events like the Theater of the Nation Festival in France showcase Asian performances promoting cultural exchange and collaboration. So events such as that, the Theater of the Nation Festival, serve as a celebratory stage. So this festival acts as a meeting point where Asian performances are introduced to global audiences. So beyond showcasing art, they also encourage cultural dialogue, giving artists and audiences alike a chance to celebrate and learn from different traditions. So next is cross-cultural collaboration. So collaboration between Asia and Western artists result in an innovative production that merge traditional techniques with contemporary themes, enriching global arts community. So in cross-cultural collaboration, it is a very crucial turning point in bringing Asian theater to global platform. So this kind of partnership combine traditional Asian forms with contemporary Western themes, resulting in a production that are both innovative and cultural enriching. Such as initiative makes Asian theater relatable to a broader audiences with preserving its unique identity. Okay, so for the last one is diasporic communities. So Asian diaspora communities play a crucial role in preserving and promoting their theatrical tradition abroad through performances, workshop, and cultural events. So Asian diaspora communities act as a bridge, preserving their tradition and celebrating them abroad. Through local performances, workshops, and cultural events, they bring Asian theater to a new audiences. So this effort not only strengthens cultural ties but also transforms these events into a vibrant celebration of heritage and artistry. So, are you ready to travel the world? You must be, because we will be going to discuss the case studies that I have searched through Asian countries. So, let's go. Okay, first stop, Japan. The infamous Kabuki and No. So Kabuki and No have been adapted for global stages. Kabuki faces aesthetic and cultural challenges while No grapples with preservation versus adaptation. So efforts include hybrid forms and international collaboration. So let us first talk about Kabuki. Why is Kabuki popular globally? Kabuki is widely accepted on international stages because it is visually stunning now. Its costume, makeup, and movements grab attention. But keep in mind, performing it outside Japan isn't simple. It involves a careful balance between keeping the performance authentic to its roots and making it understandable for non Japanese audiences. What's the problem? What could be the problem? So, according to Japanese theater scholar Christopher Balme, 2007, international kabuki performances often focus more on its spectacle rather than its cultural depth. This could lead to kabuki being seen as just an exotic art form, losing the complexity of its stories and cultural significance. So, what did they do to fix that? So, to help audiences understand kabuki beyond its visuals, many international productions include bilingual subtitles, meaning translation projected on stage, and pre-performance talks to explain its context and meaning. So these efforts aim to bridge the gap so non-Japanese viewers can connect with the story, not just the visuals. Okay, so enough of kabuki. Now let's talk about No. What makes No unique? So No is a very different from kabuki. It's slow paced, has a minimalist stage, and uses symbolic gestures to tell its story. Because of this, it's harder for global audiences to connect with. It can feel too ritualistic now or even inaccessible for those unfamiliar with its style. So why is adapting No challenging? So while kabuki can be modified with flashy visuals or modern touches, No subtle and symbolic nature makes it harder to change without losing its essence. So its rituals are deeply tied to Japanese culture, making it a challenge to translate for international audiences without misrepresenting it. So with that, how is snow being adapted globally? So some production are experimenting with collaborations to adapt No for modern audiences. For example, partnership between No performers and Western avant-garde theater groups are blending No traditional elements with contemporary drama. So these experiments keep the slow tempo of symbolic nature of No, but add modern elements to make it more relatable to the new audiences. Okay, so next stop, China, the Peking Opera. So Peking Opera has gained global recognition, influenced by Western avant-garde and historical exchanges. Tours by Mei Lan Fang introduced its stylized performance to global audiences, influencing European experimental theater. So what is Peking Opera for those who forgot? So Peking Opera is one of China's most ancient and respected theater traditions. So it's famous for its stylized movement, elaborate costumes, and symbolic use of music and gestures. So these elements makes it visually striking but also deeply rooted in Chinese culture, which can be challenging for international audiences to fully understand. How did it gain global recognition? So, a major milestone for Peking Opera was the 1930s tours of Mei Lan Fang, a legendary performer whose troupe brought Peking Opera to audiences in the United States and Europe. So Western audiences were captivated by its unique aesthetics, but Mei Lan Fang made adaptation, like using Western stagecraft to help bridge the cultural gap. So this created a hybrid theatrical vocabulary, blending Chinese tradition with Western styles to make the performance more accessible globally. So how did Peking opera influence Western theater? So Peking opera inspired many Western avant garde theater artists who admired its aesthetically complexity. Directors like Peter Brook and movement like the theater of the absurd borrowed elements from Peking opera, such as stylized gestures and symbolic movements, and integrated them into their experimental performances. So, this fusion enriched global theater by encouraging a cross cultural dialogue, making Peking opera adaptable to a new audiences with influencing Western experimental theater practices. So, the globalization of Peking opera isn't just about making it more relatable to non Chinese audiences. It's also about how its tradition contribute to the evolution of global theater by blending traditional Chinese elements with Western avant-garde styles. Peking opera demonstrate how cultural exchange can result in innovative and meaningful artistic expression. So next stop, India, Kathakali and Bharatanatyam. So Kathakali and Bharatanatyam have navigated globalization through adaptation. So Kathakali faces challenges of complexity while Bharatanatyam balances traditional themes with modern sensibilities, thriving in multicultural contexts. So let's first talk about Kathakali. So with its ties to Hindu methodology and ritualistic roots, Kathakali's symbolic complexity and reliance on Sanskrit verses pose challenges. So modern adaptation include translations and multimedia elements which improve accessibility but sparks debate about preserving its sacred essence. So, what makes Kathakali special? So, Kathakali is a classical Indian art form known for its vivid storytelling through dance, expressive facial movements, and detailed makeup. It's deeply connected to Hindu methodology and has a ritualistic purpose, especially in Kerala, India. So, what challenges does it face globally? Its symbolic gestures, Sanskrit verses, and cultural depth can feel inaccessible to international audiences. So, according to Indian theater scholar Lata Chawla 2023, the biggest obstacle is helping global viewers understand its symbolic complexity while staying true to its roots. Okay, so how's Katakali being adapted? So modern productions have tried to make Katakali more relatable by adding translations and multimedia elements like projections or explanatory videos. So these changes have made Katakali easier to understand but sparked debates about whether such adaptation dilute its sacred and cultural essence. So the traditionalists believe that introducing modern technology or altering the format compromises Katakali's spiritual significance and authenticity. Sa mga modernist naman, they argue that adapting Katakali is essential for its survival and allows it to thrive in a new cultural context while still sharing its spiritual messages. So let's talk about Tao de Bharatanatyam, popular globally and within the diaspora. Bharatanatyam has been adapted into modern multicultural contexts. So, collaborations with Western dancers and the use of modern stagecraft allow it to thrive globally while preserving its spiritual core. So, what is Bharatanatyam for those who forgot again? So, Bharatanatyam is one of India's most renowned classical dance forms, celebrated for its intricate movement, symbolic storytelling, and devotional roots. So, it's not just an art form but also a way to preserve Indian culture, especially among diasporic communities. How has it gained global recognition? Bharatanatyam has been widely embraced in the West and incorporated into multicultural dance festivals, dance schools and academies, university curriculums, making it a formal part of global education. It has become a symbol of cultural preservation and pride, particularly among Indian diasporas. So Banataratyam demonstrates how traditional art forms can thrive globally while preserving its cultural identity. So however, its globalization raises important questions about the balance between tradition and adaptation, making it a case study for how cultural art forms evolve in modern, interconnected world. So for last but definitely not the least, we will not be forgetting our own, the Philippines, Comedia and the contemporary theater. So Comedia's hybrid nature reflects its colonial past and local roots. Contemporary Philippine theater adapts traditional forms while engaging global audiences through modern themes and collaborations. So let's now first talk about Comedia. So what is Comedia? Comedia is a Filipino theater form that blends an indigenous Filipino tradition with Spanish colonial influences. So according to Filipino theater scholar Fernando 2016, this hybrid nature gives Comedia its distinct identity but also poses challenges for its international appeal. Why is Comedia significant? Its narrative often centers on themes like heroism and faith, which are universal human experiences, diba, that can resonate globally. So these themes makes it relevant beyond its cultural origins, allowing it to connect with diverse audiences. So what challenges it faces? So the fusion of indigenous and colonial elements makes Comedia complex, as it reflects both local and foreign influences. Its traditional structure and presentation may not always align with modern global theatrical tastes. So modern adaptations and global relevance. So Filipino theater companies have started incorporating contemporary issues like social justice and post-colonial identity into comedia performances. So these updates not only modernize the art form but also open it up to global conversation about identity, history, and societal struggles. Why does it matter? So reinterpreting comedia for modern audiences allows it to bridge the gap between local tradition and global themes. So this creates a dynamic art form that celebrates Filipino identity while appealing to a broader international audience. So Comedia's journey in global context showcases the balance between honoring tradition and embracing innovation, making it an evolving testament to Filipino culture's richness and adaptability. So now let's talk about the contemporary theater. So what's happening in the Philippine theater? So alongside traditional forms like comedia, contemporary Philippine theater is becoming a vital force in the global theater scene. So companies like Tanghalang Pilipino, PETA are leading the way by engaging international festivals and cross-cultural collaborations. So these efforts may mark a shift from traditional theater to more modern forms, signaling growing global recognition of Philippine theater. Globalizing Philippine theater is not a straightforward process. It involves navigating the tension between preserving cultural identity and adapting to global trends. Through international exposure, contemporary Philippine theater demonstrates its ability to address universal issues while staying rooted in local context. The globalization of Asian theater, including Philippine theater, is a dynamic process shaped by cultural, political, and social factors. As these art forms interact with the global stage, they face challenges like hybridization, cultural appropriation, and intercultural performances. So why does it matter? The dialogue between traditional Asian theater and the international stage reflects the evolving nature of cultural identities. So Philippine theater's growing global footprint is a testament to its adaptability, creativity, and relevance in addressing both local local and global issues. So now let's go on to the theories that we have searched. So several theories explain the globalization of Asian theater. The first one is cultural hybridity. So what is cultural hybridity? It is the fusion of local and global practices like Kabuki's use of Western stagecraft, diba? Na-explain ko yan kanina. So next is transculturation. So what is transculturation? It is a mutual cultural exchange as seen in Peking opera's influence on Western avant-garde theater. And the last one is localization. So localization, it is the adapting global trends to local contexts, such as the katakali translation for foreign audiences. And of course, globalization possesses challenges also. So first one is cultural misinterpretation. So oversimplifying or misrepresenting cultural context risk losing the depth of performances, like Katakali and No. So one of the significant challenges Asian theater faces when exposed to the global stage is the risk of cultural misinterpretation. So this issue arises when traditional performances are adapted to foreign audiences who may not fully understand the cultural context, rituals, and beliefs that underpin these forms. So next one is commercialization. So pressure to appeal to international market often leads to the commodification of traditional forms, as seen in Kabuki's adaptations. So the commercialization of traditional Asian theater is a significant challenge as these art forms transition to the global market. So while globalization open up to opportunities for greater visibility and appreciation, it also brings with the pressure to adapt to the expectation of international audiences and producers, so often leading to the distortion or simplification of these forms to make them more marketable. And the last one is loss of traditional practices. So younger generation may favor modern styles, overshadowing ancient form like No or Katakali. So balancing tradition and innovation is critical to preserving these practices. So as the forces of globalization continue to reshape the cultural and artistic um, environments worldwide, traditional Asian theater forms face the risk of decline and dilution. And the increased influence of Western theater and the integration of global trends pose significant challenges for the preservation of these forms, especially as younger generation are increasingly drawn to contemporary performances styles. So, to conclude, Asian theater's globalization fosters cultural exchange and innovation but requires balance. Preserving traditions while adapting for global audiences ensure its ongoing evolution. So we can say that globalization of Asian theater is complex. So some forms like kabuki and Peking opera have become successful globally, diba? By adapting to new contexts without losing their core elements. And Katakali and Banataratiam have found a balance by incorporating modern innovations while keeping their cultural roots intact. However, challenges like cultural misinterpretation and commercialization threatens to dilute these traditions, showing that globalization isn't always straightforward. So we can say that globalization of Asian theater is complex. So some forms like kabuki and Peking opera have become successful globally, diba? By adapting to new contexts without losing their core elements. And Katakali and Banataratiam have found a balance by incorporating modern innovations while keeping their cultural roots intact. However, challenges like cultural misinterpretation and commercialization threatens to dilute these traditions, showing that globalization isn't always straightforward.